family, welcome back to the journey. Welcome to this edition of the Sunday Monday vlog. It's been a tiring week. It's time to get some rest. Hopefully everybody was productive. Hopefully close as productive as me, or more productive than me, or you at least got off the couch once or twice this week to do something. This week's been busy. So like I talked about last week, the house in Marshall, I went ahead, I got almost all the trash out. I had maybe, I want to say, a pickup truck load as I finished getting the backyard in shape. I've got branches I've got to clip up with trees that are hanging down. Still got to do a bunch of weed eating, a bunch of raking. Now with fall coming, the leaves here don't quite fall quite yet, but I need to rake a bunch of the leaves, the sticks, the pine needles, that type of stuff that's been caking up for years. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with the house in Marshall now. I've had a thought. Not sure. I'm going to have to talk to my excavator guy. But I was thinking it was going to cost like $40,000, $50,000 to haul the house if I tore the house down to the dump. On the back side of the house in Marshall, I don't know if you guys remember when I was over there burning with Carla and working where I was going to do the greenhouses, and it was going to go greenhouse, 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 because it's a step down system on the property. But since it goes so steep, I was thinking most of the bottom of the house is cinder blocks and concrete. If I had the guy that did the excavation work, as you saw, he's digging my ponds right now. I'm thinking if the house doesn't sell, I got a list again for the $40,000. I'm gonna give it probably a couple months, probably till after the first of the year. If it doesn't sell, then my thought is I'm gonna change my plans on this as well. This isn't the plans I'm talking about, but I think I am gonna change the plans on the house. I'm gonna go ahead, see if he's willing to tear down a house with the excavator, which I would assume he would be because money is money. But I don't know if he just does dirt work with it or if he'll do construction tear down. If he can, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate all the like shingles, all the metal and all that type of stuff, haul that to the dump, what can't be burned. Any of the wood like carpet, stuff like that, that will go to the dump. The fridge inside that's nasty, that will go to the dump, so on and so forth. Anything that I can't burn, that I don't want a bunch of burned stuff there, I'll take. And then I'll take all the lumber and I'll burn all the lumber, all the wood, flooring, walls, joists, whatever. Burn that down on the slope after I get done burning all these weeds, because some of the weeds are 8 foot tall going down that slope. So I'll get that burned. Then I'll have him take the excavator, take all the cinder blocks, the concrete foundation, everything that's there, break it all up, put it down the slope. And then I'm going to probably hire a guy out here. I can't think of his first name right now. His last name's Horton. Brock Horton. For those of you that are local that watch my channel. I'm going to have Brock Horton probably bring in some dump truck loads of clean soil. And then have Ricky, the excavator guy that's doing work on the homestead, go ahead and flatten the whole property, because the backyard's all wavy up and down. Flatten everything, bring in a bunch of dump truck loads of topsoil, get all the soil down, let it compact for a little bit through the rains. And then when Colorado sells, take my money from Colorado and just go ahead and buy a new modular, have a brand new modular put on. The electric there is there, the city water's there, the city sewer's there, so on and so forth. Have the modular all hooked up, then it's a brand new house. It'd be worth more money. It's already on over an acre land, and I think I can make a little bit of profit instead of just selling the property as is, because everybody wants turnkey house right now. Nobody wants to do any work. We're in the lazy generation now. Nobody's willing to do anything to better themselves or better an idea or adventure or journey of you buy a rundown house, you fix it up just like I'm going to do to the restaurant here. So that's my change of plans on the house right now. I did get over there. Like I said, I hauled off all of the trash. I started weed eating and cutting down the brush in the backyard, part of the backyard. I got the front yard mowed again. That was a good 12, 16 inches again because it's been sitting vacant. I haven't been over there because I've been dealing with other stuff. Ricky, the excavator guy that's been over on the homestead that you see his Pal Hong or whatever excavator that was, I can't think of the name, Day Yong or something. He got his equipment fixed. He got Steve's stuff knocked out. Now he's back to working on my stuff. He did some of today's Homesteader Lane. He got my parking lot knocked out. Right now I'm 20 minutes over my budget. So I'm going to just owe him another hour. I'm going to have him do another 40 minutes tomorrow on the pond. That's the new plan that I'm changing. I had talked about I wanted to get the animals moved into their new pen by December 1st. Well, as the grass is starting to slowly brown and the leaves are starting to change, I started thinking by December, it's all going to be brown. It's all going to be dead. The nutrients are coming out of it. Appreciate it. David, how you doing tonight? Thumbs up to you too. But because all the nutrients are already going to be going out, that's why for those of you that don't know, if you leave standing hay, it takes more calories and nutrients and everything to break down. No problem, David. Than it is having regular hay. It takes more energy to break it down, and they're not getting as much energy. Same thing with dried leaves, unless you hang leaves while they're green and the nutrients go down into leaves. So I'm still going to get the pen done this winter, but what I think I'm going to do now that I'm spending this extra money to go ahead and get the pond bigger, if I move them into the next pen, I don't have the money right now to put a pond in the next pen. So then I'm back to square one that I don't have a big pond for the animals. Therefore, I'm still hauling water and can't get nothing set up. So this winter, I'm going to finish the pen like I want to, get it all set and ready. I'll wait till probably May once everything is green and lush and growing again. And then I'll put the animals in the new pen. As soon as they're in the new pen, I can get seed in the ground, say the first week of May. That gives me until mid-June before we have the high heat. So that's a good 6 weeks for seed to germinate, start getting a root system going, and start growing before we have the high heat come in for the summer. That way, they can be in the new pen from May until fall. And then fall, I can bring them back to their original pen they're in now. Through the winter, December, January, February, little bit of March, I'll be able to set a little bit money aside each month to have him come back with the excavator. He'll have the dozer fixed by then, so I'm going to have some dozer work done. But then I can go ahead and have a pond put in that pen that I'm building this winter, so that way when I move them May 1st, or first week of May, they're going to have a pond. By then, by May, definitely, I'll be able to have some money to get a bunch of 2x4s, pressure treated 2x4s. I'll get a bunch more trucker tarps, and I'll make A-frame shelters in the new pen. So I'll have shelters in both pens, temporary shelters. And then that way I got 2 rotationals. I can bring them back into their original pen they're in now in like November, December, because then their original pen will be grown up some. And then the other pen has time to rest. I'll have a pond in each, the shelters in each. I've got 2 of the mineral tubs that I use for the trace minerals, the white salt and the baking soda. I've showed those in videos. So I have 2 of those. I'll put 1 in each pen so they still have access to that. And we're going to move forward. So he got the house site semi-level. He's got to come back for that. The driveway, semi-done. He's got to come back for that. and then a whole bunch of other work I need done. And then Steve had him do some of today's Homesteader Lane, so he put a chunk of money into that. I just put several hours into today's Homesteader Lane as well. And then when I have more money in future, I'm going to have it done from Gregory Lane down Purdom Lane, have it widened, have it smoothed out better, and fix everything up. So going forward this upcoming week, he'll be back over tomorrow. He's going to finish digging the pond. Caesar was upset. Caesar went over and was trying to find out what was going on because he wanted to get in the pond. Caesar the camel, for those of you that don't know, wanted to go get in the pond, and all the water's gone now because he dug the pond out. It's amazing, having a tracked excavator, how quick a pond can go in. I mean, he tripled the size of the pond in only like 50 minutes. It's crazy. I knew that because I rented the excavator back in Colorado at the ranch. So we all saw all the work I did there with the 60-foot long hugger culture bed that I did for the flower garden and all that. I'm going to do a bunch of that stuff here. I've got a plan out in the different pens I'm going to do. Once the animals go in and they clear all the vegetation out, all the briars, all the small oak trees and all that type of stuff, where I can actually see through the property again next year, then I can go ahead and go pen after pen after pen and figure out where I want to do massive ponds. And then I'll have him come back and do massive ponds throughout the homestead all the way through. That's another reason why I want all these pens, is because I'll have fresh grass, I'll have fresh leaves, I'll have fresh pond water, and the rotation will just keep going. As they defecate throughout the property, they're fertilizing. As the compost is breaking down, the new grass is growing, which makes healthier grass. It's got more nutrients, which will keep the soil intact, because for all those that have seen the front pen there and now, it's just nothing but rocks and dirt. I'm also trying to have the bales of hay move throughout instead of just one area. So as they disperse, because they waste a bunch of hay, as we know, they're animals, it's giving me a layer, and then they're walking over it, they're defecating, it's making good soil. And then, like I said, next year I'll save up money for May to get seed, put seed out. The hay and everything will be moist. That will help root, and as the grass comes up through all that, that will establish erosion control. And hopefully over the next 10, 15, 20 years, I'm going to have really good topsoil on top of all the rocks, and the rocks will go back down. A lot of work for a homestead, but that's what happens. So this week, we're back up into the 80s and 90s. It's been warm. Did the rental house for the first couple days, then been out at the homestead. I worked on the fencing because it was hot. I went ahead and all the T-posts down Purdom Lane for their new pen. You saw, what was it, back in April or May when I stretched all that fencing out. I did like 300 or 400 feet. I went ahead and wire tied all the T-posts. Each post takes, I think, 8 wire ties. And I do T-posts every 5 feet, so it was a lot of wire tying. But all that's done. I've got one more 100-foot section to stretch down Purdom Lane. Wire tie all those T-posts. And then I got to start clearing brush going through. Of course, I'm going to wait till it gets cooler, because now that we're back up into the higher temperatures, it's just too hot to be going through all the grass with chiggers and ticks and flies and snakes and everything else. So I'm going to give myself a little break. We do have some rain coming up in 3 or 4 days. I'm going to go ahead, take that time. I'm going to edit some of the videos of what he did at the house site, the driveway. I've got to go over, I've got to take after photos, which I should have done it right away. So now there's some leaves and stuff. It doesn't look as fresh, but I will get all that, all the pictures, the photos, the videos, all that together, get all that edited, because we have, I think, 4 or maybe 5 days of rain coming up. I'll take that time to take a break, recoup, relax, edit those videos. I'll have those videos coming out, so you'll get a couple bonus videos besides the Sunday, Monday vlogs. I also, this week, I got to try to get back over to the house in Marshall. I got to finish cutting down all that brush, cut down the tree limbs. I got to haul all that back. I want to make a burn pile. And then once we get cooler, because trying to have a massive bonfire when it's 80, 90 degrees out is no fun. So I'll wait till we get to cooler weather, go over there, burn all the brush piles over there. So then that's all taken care of. The property will look better, so that might help make it sell. I know hauling all that trash off makes a big difference. If it doesn't sell, then we're going to go with the new plan of just taking down the house, put in a new house eventually, sell that, hopefully make a little bit of profit, and then that little bit of profit will give me the money to make a barn or build a barn. You don't make a barn. Build a barn for the animals, and then I'll have an official barn for the animals. The next problem I'm going to have with that is the pen I'm working on now, since I cut it in half, the barn is going to go in the other half. So once I have the barn built, that means I have to get the next pen built in order for the animals to use Purdom Lane and still have access to that barn. So a lot of different things happening. Like I said, between the heat, the labor of trying to get things done, the headache, the stress, like I said, the house in Marshall not getting rent and getting that property back, the Homesteader family finding a better property that suits them with electricity and water, sewer, all that type of stuff, and moving and not paying rent and getting that property back. I get that land back November 1st. And then I've got to get in contact with the shed people, because the shed people are getting the shed back or whatever. So I got to find out when they're going to get that off. Then I've got to get photos and find out what I need to clean up over there. Then I need to get that property resurveyed. So I got to spend a bunch of money to get the survey done, the new plat maps. Like I said, I'm taking off 5 acres. Then I need him to flag through the woods again so I can put a brush pile so I know where the property line is. Change all that around. Get that listed. Try to get that 25 acres sold. So it's just a lot of irons in the fires. A lot of things happening at once. The good thing is Colorado finally came through. They paid. Of course, the money's due on the 6th of the month. And I just got paid a couple of days ago. So, that's the world we're living in right now. Nobody's got money to pay anything, let alone nobody wants to work and stuff like that. But at least he came through. He's held up to his word. He says, he's doing best he can. He has made his payments. Hopefully Colorado sells, because if that sells, then I'll have to worry about payments coming in. Then I had the money from the sale in Colorado, and then I can go ahead and do a whole bunch with that. I had a couple questions on the whole debt thing that I was talking about last week. And it was either last week or week before that I talked about debt. I'm not 100% sure. What a bunch of people have said. Well, thank you, DT. I also got to give you a call, DT. I've been meaning to call you, but I've had so much stuff going on. And every time I look at clock, it's too late to call you. And this millennial doesn't wake up super early, except a couple days, because the dump, we don't have a dump here in Searcy County. So I had to haul the stuff all the way down to Clinton, and they close at 2:30. So I got to get all the way out to Marshall, load everything up, then drive all the way to Clinton to dump, get everything unloaded before 2:30 when they close. So I did Monday, Tuesday. I woke up super early because I had to get stuff done. I had to make that deadline, and I can't just fill a trailer real quick. It takes me a little bit of time. But I'll give you a call sometime this week in the evening. Or give me a call. Let's put it that way. I'll get my sleep, DT. When you get off work one day this week, give me a call. So that way I know you're not working and I don't interrupt you. You won't interrupt me. I got nothing else going on this week besides just work. I will, David. Always stay strong. So for the debt questions I had, so a couple people said they want a homestead or they want to get a little cabin on a piece of land or something like that. And how would I recommend doing it? Well, my recommendation is based on my idea. So it's all in if it fits you, and that is debt. You can either be 36 like me and have a bunch of mortgages and have a bunch of these properties with everything tied up, and have that risk in the back of your mind saying, if I can't make my payments, I lose everything. For me, I lost everything in 2011. I became homeless. I went all the way down to nothing. If that happens again, I've been there. I can build myself back up. It's hard work. It's hustling and the mental willpower and being able to deal with stress if that stresses you out. With me, Steve says all the time, he can't believe how I don't stress over how I live because he sees my bank account. Now, I've showed a bunch of you guys my bank account and stuff that I'll have like $3 here or whatever, and my credit cards are way up, and pay credit cards and then have no money, and I got to wait an entire month to have money again. I can live that way. So my recommendation is, if you want to try it, find an acre of land or something like that. I highly recommend you get over 5 acres. I wouldn't get anything less than 5 acres because Steve tells me all the time, oh, you should see these people want $25,000 for 1 acre. But if you go up to 5 acres, then you can get it for like $4,000 or $5,000 an acre. So I would recommend get as much acreage as you can and find that median where you're not paying a whole bunch per acre, but your payment's not something you can't afford. So if you want to be like me, 36 with a bunch of stuff, you can't do it unless you're rich. You can't do it unless somebody leaves you $1 million. You can't do it unless you become like these other YouTube channels and sell 1 million different items, and that's how they make their money with all the commercials and all that type of stuff. It works for some, that don't work for me. So my way is debt. So if you want to be young or younger, or if you're older than me, younger before you're older, you're going to have to look at debt. Just make sure it's debt you can afford. So if you have, say, $600 a month, and you find this piece of land that you can get a loan for at the bank, or family loans you or whatever, and it costs you $300 a month, then that's feasible because that gives you half of the money you have. That's my recommendation. If you want to try homesteading and you're not sure, find yourself 5 acres or 10 or 20, whatever. It's your comfort level. Yes, you're not living there. I understand this. This was another one of the questions on the debt is somebody doesn't want to pay a mortgage and not live where they're paying a mortgage. Look at me. What am I doing? My homestead, where the animals are, 6 miles away. What am I doing? I'm paying a $600 mortgage, and I don't live there. It's a way of life. If you want it, you're going to have to do that. So you're not going to be able to have something and not pay a mortgage without living there, or be living there while paying the mortgage. Because unless you're willing to sell your house right now and just move on to the 5 acres and collect rainwater to take baths, if you're not in like states like Colorado where they make it illegal, you're going to have a rough life. So here, like I said, I could be living in a shed over there and be living where I'm paying the mortgage on that land. But instead, I'm paying all my bills here to live here in comfort. I have electricity. I have internet to do these videos. I have water to take my baths after working hard. Washer and dryer, fridge and freezer, stove, kitchen now. So that's what you got to look at. But that's my recommendation is you're not going to get nowhere like the old days. If you look at what people used to make compared to what a house used to be to what you make nowadays with inflation and what house values are now, you can never save up like the old days. I know our great grandparents always told us save up money and buy it. Don't go into debt for it. But nowadays, with inflation, that's the only way you're going to get it unless you want to be in your older years and not able to do anything in your younger years. So that is my recommendations for those of you that ask that is take out a small loan, make sure it's something feasible that you can afford that, like I said, you have $600. Don't go get 50 acres because that takes up $600, because if something comes up and you can't use that $600, then you're going to have it taken. So, and you also have to realize the more you stretch yourself in debt like me by having money in all these different properties, Colorado, the homestead, which is 2 tracts of land. I got 2 deeds on that. This deed, the deed in Marshall, is you overstretch yourself, you miss one payment, and then they take that property. Then the bank comes knocking, they want their money, then they take your next property, and before you know it, you lose everything. Don't overstretch yourself. I know there's a lot of channels. Appalachia's Homestead with Patera that I watch all the time. She harps and harps and harps not to be in debt. I agree, but I don't agree because, like I said, with me, I don't have kids. I don't have family. In a way, I have my grandparents in Colorado. But when I die, I don't leave a bunch of debt to family. So I know a lot of people, they have kids. They don't want that debt or that burden put on family. With me, I'm only leaving that burden. Hey, Andres, how you doing? That debt, that burden, I'm only leaving with the banks. And we know the banks charge ridiculous amount of interest. They charge all the penalty fees and all that, take advantage of people. So I don't care about corporation. That's like the excavator guy. He said he's willing to do stuff and I can pay him later. I can't do that. I don't work like that on an individual basis. If it's a corporation, I don't care about corporation like banks. Individual, I can't do that. My hay lady, there's been times I'm in a bind, I don't have the money for my hay, and she's willing to give me hay and I can pay her later. I don't want to do that because she's got people right now that hasn't paid her for hay. My excavator guy hasn't been paid for work he's done. So I don't ever want to be that chance that, say my truck breaks down and I can't come up with that money to pay. Well, then I hurt an individual that's not going to get a government bailout. The banks, oh, look, we take all your penalties, interest rates, and all that. We make all these billions of dollars, and then we file bankruptcy and then get a whole bunch of money from the government for free. Individuals can't do that. So I look at life, I look at communities that way. I'd rather take care of the little person, make sure the little person's always paid, because the little person just gets stepped on by the corporation. I know a lot of you, I've had a lot of comments, and a lot of people talk to me on the phone and emails and Facebook and say, I shouldn't be in debt, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't overstretch myself. But we all live our own life, and I live it the way I want, because you only live one life. And that's why I always tell everybody, try to do something productive, go for your dreams, go for your goals, take that first step, find your happiness, because nobody else is going to give you it. Only you can get your happiness. Only you know what you want in life. And if you want that 5 acres to try to homestead, because you're like, all right, got my electricity, got my plumbing, I don't know if I can go out into the woods and homestead. Well, if you take that small loan out and get that 5 acres, say it's just all brushy woods, right? Nobody wants it, you can't do nothing to it unless you put a bunch of money into it. Or you do it the cheap way, like me. You go out with a sawzall and a little chainsaw and a pole saw, and you clear the brush like I did up at the house site, or like I started at the house site, and you open the woods up where you can drive a vehicle into it. You go over with a wheelbarrow and a hoe and a pick and a shovel, and you flatten out a driveway. Um, any improvements you make, if you're over there on the weekends, work your 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, go over there Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, get a camper, pitch a tent, put a shed on it so you got somewhere to stay for the weekend, and try to rough it a little bit. Worst case, you don't like it. You decide you want to stay in the city, want to go to your Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts like me. Not Starbucks, I drink Dunkin' Donuts when I'm in Harrison. But if you want to go back to the city, then you have 5 acres of improved land to turn around and sell. So then you can get your money back plus some interest, because it's not woods nobody wants to deal with. It is now open woods with a driveway, maybe a shed on it, and you turn around and sell it for a profit. Then you can put that money into a new adventure if you make enough profit, or go a different route. But you at least discovered if you want to do that. I know a lot of you want to do it, you don't have the money, and you're afraid to go into debt. But like I said, unless you're willing to wait a decade or 2 decades or 3 decades, because we know life always comes up and there's always plumbing issues in our place, or rent increases, or our vehicles break down, or our trailer breaks down, or we need new tires. We always seem not to have enough money to get that piece of land to go for our dreams. So that's what I highly recommend, is go into debt a little bit. I know a lot of you are going to yell at me again. But hey, 36, I'm living my dream. It may not be the best dream because I'm in a whole lot of debt. But what's worse that happens? Eventually I die, the debt goes to the bank. It doesn't bother me. I live my life the way I want to. Just like today, while Ricky was up there excavating the pond, I was sitting on top of Caesar, the camel, and just watching him from a higher sitting stance in the excavator. So it's cool just to be there with the animals, doing my thing, being in the woods, and definitely can't wait to get the house started. So not sure when that's going to go. I know I said I want to be in by Christmas of 25. I'm going to try my best. All depends on finances. Like I say, if I can get this 25 acres sold, once I pay all this money to resurvey and do all that, if I can get the house in Marshall sold, if I can get the ranch in Colorado sold, a whole lot of stuff depends on me getting out of debt, getting some money. I'm not paying off all my mortgages. I'll tell you that right now. I will continue to pay interest on debt, because if I take all my money and I pay the mortgages off, then I'm back to living on my VA. And then I've got to save a couple $100 this month, couple $100 next month, and then there we go again. 5 years down the road, I finally have $10,000 to do the next pen. Where if I don't pay all the mortgages off when I sell a different property, and I continue to pay the notes, or just recombine the notes onto another property, then I have $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 from this one, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 from that one. Well, I can do a barn for 20 grand. I can do 3 more pens at $10,000 a pen, or whatever it costs. I have no idea. But that's my thing. By staying in debt, I'm able to get farther along at a quicker pace, as long as the weather's not hot, as long as my neck and my back's not killing me, as long as I'm not sick, which we all know I don't get that sick that often, maybe once a year, if that. Have you ever said what you're asking for the 25 acres? I'm going to do, David, I'm going to do the same thing that I offered the Homesteader family, which is $3,000 an acre. So I'm not changing that. I do have one guy, he offered me a whole lot less. He's like 21 years old. Not sure if I want to go that route. I could have money right away, but it's going to be way less. And the problem with the 25 acres is it's under mortgage. So I have to pay so many thousands of dollars per acre to have that release from the bank. So the offer I got, basically after I pay the bank off for those 25 acres to be released, that leaves me with $22,000 cash in my hand. And I still have the mortgage on the homestead. So even though like 38,000, 38, 58, yes, 60 grand. So he offered me 60 grand for the 25 acres, which is 2,400 an acre. So I'll be paying 38,000 towards my mortgage, but I'll still have the mortgage payment because I'm not paying off the mortgage, and the 22,000 doesn't give me a lot to work with. Now, yes, it gives me a little bit to do some, but at 3,000 acre, that's 75,000, which is reasonable because if you look for this area, it's anywhere from 3,000 to 3,800 an acre. So I figure if I lowball it, I can always go down some to like 2,800 an acre. But I don't want to go that low down to 24. But then my goal is hopefully to get like $40,000 or so to be able to have cash after paying the bank to release the land. So that way 40,000, that gives me a big chunk of money to do something. $10,000 for a pen, $20,000 for starting the house, $10,000 to put in some ponds or something like that. There's a lot of stuff I want to do. So it all depends on how the cookie crumbles. We're going to find out. Like I said, I've got to see when they're off November 1st. Then I got to get the shed people to come get their possession off my property. Once that's off, then I got to go find out to make sure they cleaned up whatever they had over there. If they didn't clean up over there, then I've got to go and haul trash off from there. If they made a mess or anything, then I'll have to clean that up. I don't know what I'm walking into. So there's a lot of variables on everything going on. That's another reason why I don't have a whole bunch of content. I don't have my house built. I don't have barns built 3 years later because, like I said, I don't sell a bunch of stuff on my channel. I get emails. I just got another email 2 days ago from another content thing. They wanted me to sell the vacuum seal bags. And I get some money for selling vacuum seal bags. Enough people know they're out there. I'm not selling stuff on my channel. I make my channel as ad-free as possible. I do monetize my channel, so that's why you see ads. But now, even channels that aren't monetized, you have ads because YouTube wants to make that money. So, like I said, this month, I think I'm up to $22 for the month. So it's not like I'm making a whole bunch of money. But as I get property sold and I can get some of that debt money back that I'm overextended in all my different properties, then that gives me money to get the next project done. And then you guys will have more content. I'll be able to get more stuff done. I'll have my vegetable gardens, the flower gardens. I want to get the beehives. For those of you that know about the flow hives, I want to do flow hives. I know a lot of beekeepers say don't get the flow hives, but I want to try that out. Get the barn built for the animals, get a swimming pool built in the back where that spring was, where I had dug that 5-foot hole. I'm going to have him come in with excavator. I'm going to have him dig like maybe a 20, or I was thinking maybe even go down 30 feet deep. I'm not sure yet. And get a big pond liner. That's 10 grand for the pond liner. But to have a 30-foot deep pool, that'd be awesome. How many people have 30-foot deep pool? And with hot summers here, that's going to feel real good. So just all different ideas, all different things coming up. I'm just working with what I have. Like I said, hopefully November, I can get that 25 acres on the market. Hopefully buyer comes quickly. I'm also thinking, I don't know if I want to sell it because, that gives me more land as a buffer zone. But then again, more mortgage I'm paying, less stuff I'm able to get accomplished. So that's my other idea and thought is, if I sell the 25 acres, that gets me money to get started on a project now versus 10 years down the road. So that's my week. That's my upcoming week on what I'm doing. Like I said, the rental house, I got to do some more work up there this week. I got to mow the yard here. I've got to haul water for the animals. I hauled water today, so I got a couple of days till I have to haul water for them. I got to get oil change done. Ricky's coming over tomorrow to finish digging out the pond. That's going to cost me a little extra money. That's extra $125 I owe him tomorrow. Going to try to work on some fencing. Depends. And then, like I said, the rain's coming in, so probably rest of the week into the weekend. I'm going to edit the content that I have now. Of course, let's see, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, before the rains come in, I'll go ahead and get rest of footage of all the work he's done. Get all that put together. So not this upcoming week, but the following week, I'll have a bunch of videos coming out. So you can see the driveway, what's been done, the parking lot, all that type of stuff. And see what little progress I made for what $2,200 is what I'm spending on excavation work for now. And then of course you'll see some of the work Steve paid for on today's Homesteader Lane, because he had work done for him, because he's got to bring in gravel and topsoil and stuff like that, along with I will in the future. Not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but we'll find out. So with that, I hope everybody has a great upcoming week. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments on the video after the live stream. You can always Facebook, email, phone call, whatever. Once again, whoever Mr. Anonymous is, I still have not figured out who Mr. Anonymous is, but thank you once again for your donation to the animals on the feed bill, because by me not having that money to pay the feed bill, or not have to spend that money to pay on the feed bill, I was able to pay my credit cards completely off again. I was able to pay the dump fees to haul the 2 trailer loads of trash from the house in Marshall, and leaves me probably just enough to pay Ricky the excavator guy the extra hour. The pool for why 30 feet deep? I don't know. Why 30 feet deep? Why not? I just think it'd be cool to have a deep pool. I mean, everybody has just a regular 12, 14 foot pool. But if you went like 30 feet deep or 25 feet, I don't know how deep he can go with the excavator. And I don't know how big of a liner I'm willing to spend money, because right now, for what I had thought was going to be a 15-foot deep pool, I was looking at about a $6,000 pond liner. It's probably close to $10,000 for a 25-foot deep pool. But I just think it'd be cool, because then I can get a snorkel and mask again, and I don't know, it's just, why not? If you can, you can. Why do people buy mansions? Why do people buy camels? Most people don't want camels. I have camels because I like to live Groundhog Day and have a hump day every day. I don't know. It's just, Steve says I'm eccentric, and I guess that's part of it. I'm an alien. We're weird like that. And if I have a 30-foot deep pool, we know I got plenty of water for the animals. I don't have to haul water from here 6 miles away. I'm not paying water to the city for city water. And if something ever happens, I got plenty. Check with how stable the soil structure is. Well, what I'll do is, once the pond liner's in, it's that hole in the back. I don't know if you guys remember, if you saw, I had over 1 million gallons of water coming out a day from the hole this past winter, because the groundwater were not dried out like right now. So when that water comes out, what I want to do is put an inverted culvert vertically, and then put the liner on the inside of that. So the water will come up the culvert and overflow into the pond liner, and that will fill the pond liner up. And once the body of water is there, I'm doing See, most ponds, they use like a 10 to 20 mil pond liner. Because of rocks and because of the big trees I have, I'm going with a 60 mil pond liner, which a 60 mil lasts over 100 years or something like that. It stops root penetration. Cattle can walk on it. It won't tear. It won't rip. But once that liner is completely filled with water, the water is going to keep the soil back, so then I won't have to worry about that coming back. Yeah, Steve. Just say I'm an alien. That's what it is. But that's what I'm going to do. Right now, it's dug down, I think, 8 feet or 9 feet. I just don't have the money to have him continue digging deeper. And there's no pond liner. There's no water in it right now. And the walls are standing straight up. The reason I don't have him dig it deeper now is because, A, I want to have the pond liner. So at least that's the weight of the rubber. That will help somewhat of collapse. I know it can still collapse, but with the heavy weight of the rubber going in the hole, up and around, it's more like a net, so it will hold. And I don't have the money for the culverts. The culverts are going to run me, I think, $400 or $600 a piece, and I need 2 of them because they come in 20-foot lengths, and I want 40 foot. So I will have him do a 40-foot hole to do like a shallow well. And then, like I said, the water will come out the culverts, come into the pond liner. As that overflows, that's the 2 culverts. I don't know if you guys remember, I put the 2 culverts through the road, through Purdom Lane, because it was washing out Purdom Lane when I had all that water exploding out the ground. I think it's a seasonal aquifer, I think is what I called it, or something that I found online. But it's whenever ground saturation is big enough, it expels the water through the ground. Yes. And you probably went with one of the thinner liners too because it's cheaper. Because a lot of people use that. You can use the bentonite clay. There's a bunch of different things. I remember as a kid when we built a pond at our house that I grew up in, or my second house I grew up in. The first house was in Maryland. The second house was in Delaware. And in Delaware, me and my dad built a pond, and we went and got a bunch of used carpet and put a 3 or 4 layers and bought really cheap liner and put that in so that way the tree roots and everything didn't go through. So there's all different things I could do to make it cheaper, but I'm looking for long term. I'm looking for easy. So to go ahead and just get a 60 mil pond liner that weighs probably a ton, 2 tons, something like that, and I have an excavator down the road that he's coming and doing the work, that he can roll it all out, do all the work, and then it's over and done with. I don't have to touch it again. I know it's good for 100 years. And then I am going to be smart. I'm going to have him put one corner of the pool a little bit deeper, and I'm going to get a suction vacuum so that way all the leaves and debris, since we're in the woods, so I already know I'm going to have a bunch of leaves in the bottom, then that way I can put a hose at that bottom corner, suck up all the dirt, debris, leaves, things like that to help keep it clean. I've got to figure out exactly what I want to do to it. I'm not sure because I want to keep the water clean because I don't want it filled with algae. But that's way down the line. So that's what I have for these upcoming weeks. Last week, this week, coming up. But we're getting to my ideas and my goals for next year. At the end of this year, I got to get some of these irons out of the fire before I start sticking more irons in, because Steve, my mama and papa, my mom and pa in Kansas, some of you boomer subscribers out there all know I love to just stick irons in, stick irons in, stick irons in, and never hammer them out. So I'm working on hammering the irons right now, slowly getting them out the fire and selling the finished blades. For those of you who don't know, that's blacksmithing. But, you know, I'm getting the different properties back. Fixing them up, that's the hammering. Get them on the market and sell them as a new blade. So I'm working on getting rid of some irons. Then that gives me a little bit of funding to do the next irons or stick some more irons in. But we'll see how that goes. So with that, have a great week coming up. Hope everybody had a great previous week. Get motivated. Do something. If you got to go into debt, just be responsible about it. I know being in debt's not responsible, but as long as you can make your payments like I'm doing, heaven forbid, like I said, if I had to get rid of animals, we went through that, a month and a half ago, I said, with nobody making payments, I might have to get rid of animals. Then I just moved to Alaska. So like I said, if I have to start all over, it's a thing. You got to be prepared that way. Mentally, if you stress about that stuff, don't do it. Me, I don't stress. I mean, I do stress, but it's not like stress that, bothers me, because I know I can always start back over. Worst case scenario, I'm going to be uncomfortable with no running water, no electricity, living the rough life again, which I've done how many times? When I built my house and lost everything, when I moved to the ranch, when I moved out here in the shed. I don't want to do it again, but it's always possible. 2016 to now, we've seen this journey take 3 massive turns. 3 different properties, 3 different changes. So just think, if you're not willing to do something like that, don't take risks like I do. If you do want to find that happiness and want to have stuff before that happens, then you're going to have to be willing to take that risk. So with that, remember, live happy, live free. That's the only way to be. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for all the likes, the comments, the questions, concerns, everything else. I appreciate you guys. With that, have a great night, and I'll see you guys on the next video.